Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we are going to talk to you about an upcoming event that we are going to, hosted by East Warrington Wargaming. This is a one-day event for the Old World, 1,250 points. And we've been playtesting some lists, and we just thought that we would talk you through the list and builds that we have got and the reasons why. And then after we've played in the tournament, we will come back and let you know how we have done. I will be taking my Wood Elves, and Tom, you will be taking Bretonnia.
Absolutely.
So 1,250 points. To me, it feels like a good points value. I like playing these smaller games. I've been enjoying them probably more than the bigger games because there's less of the kind of 2 dragons, 4 terrorgeists, or this kind of stuff to creep in, and it feels a little bit more balanced. The games are a bit quicker, so I'm really looking forward to it, and also from a list building perspective, it's more fun trying to construct that list because you can't have all of your toys. You can't just have everything you want. I feel like when the Old World came out, like previously we were talking 2,500 points was what everybody played in tournaments, and you could just have all your toys and everything you wanted. Whereas now, I don't know what it's like where you guys are, but in the UK, the tournaments, there are 2,000 point events, but a lot of them seem to be smaller at the moment. And from a list building perspective, it's quite fun and interesting. So we're going to run through our list with you. We're going to let you know what we've got and why. And please leave a comment to let us know your feedback. And, especially I'd love to read other people's lists in the comments as well. If you're playing at these smaller points values, let us know. But Tom, why don't you kick us off with what you've got going on?
Lovely. So I'm going to come in strong to start with the Green Knights to kind of lead the army. In my characters, I've also got a damsel, level 2. I'm thinking of taking battle magic. Paladin on a royal Pegasus with a knightly vow of knightly temper. And then I've got in my core 2 units of 5 Knights of the Realm with full command. I'm running 10 peasant bowmans with the skirmish special rule. And in my special, 2 units of 3 Pegasus Knights with a standard bearer.
Nice. And how many points is that altogether?
Altogether, that is 1,249. So I might get myself a nice little virtue that they get in Age of Sigmar, or whatever they're called.
Triumph.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go through the list blow by blow, and let's talk about what you've got included. It seems like you've got 2 hitty characters, you've got 2 flying units of cavalry, and you've got 2 smaller units of Knights of the Realm. So let's start with the Green Knight. So why is he in the list?
So we've played tested the Green Knight a fair amount, and it's a fantastic unit to have in the Bretonnian army. It can show up almost anywhere on the battlefield. Where there's a wood or natural terrain, it can show up and that same turn charge into whatever it wants to, because it's a single character with 360 line of sight and hold anything up or start killing some chaff. It's fantastic.
Yeah, he's been a real thorn in my side in the games that we've play tested because, I don't have any tree spirits when we get to my list, but I don't have a lot of access to magical attacks, so I'm not dealing any damage back. So, he just goes in and there's just pretty much nothing I can do. There was one game where I managed to kill him, and Tom just rolled the dice, and in the next turn he came back, and I didn't get any of the points for killing him. The other thing he's really good at is it's just holding up. If you've got a big unit that's a point sink or something that you feel is going to deal a lot of damage, you've got a big monster that doesn't have a magical weapon, and not everybody is going to bring that. For example, I think a great weapon on a Glade Lord on a dragon is a good option. And actually, if you don't bring that magical weapon, he's just going to go in and draw the combat the whole time. And you're looking at heroes on monsters, if they don't have that magical attack, that are 400 plus points, and you're looking to get your points back on them, and he's just going to go into them and just take them out of the game pretty much. Yeah. I think he's amazing. I think he's just I just don't really know how to deal with him to the point where he just has to do his thing, and I have to play around him basically.
That's it. You have to play keep away from him because he's going to show up and start taking off anything that does damage, and then just being a pain all game. And I love that.
Yeah.
Moving into the damsel, level 2. I'm still not sure on the damsel, Dan. I've been playing a lot of lists without any magic at all, and I've been doing all right, but I don't want to risk it at a tournament. Not quite yet.
Yeah, I think you still want to have a say, don't you, in terms of the opportunity to dispel, because there are things there that that you're going to want to try and dispel. There are some potent spells, and if you come across something like someone who takes a level 4 and a level 2, they've got 6 spells a turn, and if you've got no answer whatsoever, that can become a problem. Yeah. Plus, you've got a signature spell from the Law of the Lady that's really good, haven't you?
Yeah. What's it called? The Lady's Gift. Really powerful. Giving a unit regen on top of a ward save is pretty nuts when your average armor saves are 3+ in the army list.
So you're 3 up, 5 up, then 6 up, 5 up for your ward save.
Yeah.
Depending on the strength of the attack. So yeah, it gives those units a really good buff as well, and then a little bit of an answer to other people's spells.
Yeah, so just trying to figure out how I run that still. It's not something I've grasped, as I've not played with Magic too often.
Is she in a unit, next to a unit?
I think I'm keeping the damsel next to a unit. But I don't know. We'll see. It's going to evolve as I play. One of my MVPs is the Paladin, pretty much in every game I play. So Paladin's a really strong, low-level character choice, especially when you put the direction of the knightly temper, because it gets D3 extra attacks with hatred, which is fantastic. It gives him so much punch. You don't need to put a magical weapon on him. You buy him a lance, and he's good to go.
Yeah, really strong. Has he got any equipment on him whatsoever?
So he comes standard with heavy armor, shield, Royal Pegasus with Bardin, and that's it.
I'm just surprised that I haven't seen the falcon horn on anybody.
That's the thing. So if I was to take out the damsel, I'd probably put it in. Or there's not enough points in the list to fit it in and have what else I want. And really, do I care about a dragon flying around? Because I can outmaneuver a dragon, as we've proven in the playtesting.
Yeah, so a dragon being close order and having to pay for its wheels and things, and having that, it doesn't have that 360 line of sight. It turns out that 2 small units of knights and Pegasus Knights that fly around and a skirmish, they can pretty much move around out of the line of sight, because Tom's army is very, very highly maneuverable, and as I said, the skirmish elements of it can kind of go where they like. So it is easier for Tom to stay out of that arc and to make the dragon. By the time the dragon's turned around, Tom's army's then moved off again, and he's very good at playing avoidance and kind of surgically striking your army where he wants to. But I also am playing an MSU style army. I don't know what will happen if you come across that big block of Black Orcs, for example.
Well, I think
it's something that will tie you up.
That's it. So, like your army, what it does to my knights, just surgically strikes one of them, and the rest of them don't do very much. But I could probably get enough firepower into that big unit of Black Orcs to put some hurt on it. Especially with the Green Knight going into the back and Pegasus Knights flanking and hitting it in the front. So they won't get any rank bonus. So we'll see.
Yeah, and then, so should we go over to core?
Yeah, let's go through the core. 2 units of 5 Knights of the Realm with full command. They make people see red. I don't think they're that great, but people like to target them and not hit my Pegasus Knights. So that's what they're there for. And they're really drawable. So it's toughness 3, 3 up armor save, 6 up ward.
and then potentially a 5-up regen with the spell.
Yeah. So
How is it? Have you just chosen units of 5 because of points?
yes, just because of points. I tried to fit the extra one in, but I thought it was better to take 2 less and almost fit an entire new unit of Pegasus Knights in overall.
Yeah.
Because they've been fantastic every game. So
Yeah.
what I've found in a lot of my play testing is people tend to go for the Knights of the Realm, which don't do anything anyway, whilst the Pegasus Knights are off having a jolly in your back lines, chewing up all of the stuff you don't want chewed up, and then I can play avoidance for the rest of the game.
I mean, I know what you mean. The thing about the Knights of the Realm is that they've only got 1 attack each. So the unit, when it charges in, is a big, expensive unit. It's only got 5 attacks. If you're coming up against something that's weapon skill 4, you're going to hit on 4. So then you're talking 2.5 hits. Well, 3 because you've got champion. So yeah, they don't quite have that devastating impact that you would expect.
No.
Compared to the Pegasus Knights with the Paladin going in alongside them, it is really devastating. But like you said, they're very tough and durable, and they'll take time for people to chew through. They're maneuverable, and people do worry about them because of their charge range in this new edition. They can cover a lot of ground with their swift stride. I worry about them, but I've got a lot of weak elves that are tough as 3 no armor saves, so
Yeah.
they're just going to obliterate them.
That's it. If they went into a big, strong tar pit, like, I don't know, even if it was something not very good, like a skeleton, spearman, phalanx, they'd just fall over. They'd stay in that combat forever.
Yeah. But that's what you've got to be wary of, I suppose, with those units, especially Tomb Kings are so prevalent now. I really rate the phalanx of spearmen when we've been using them. They just don't budge, and then everything just creeps in from around the side. You get your Necropolis Knights turning up and stuff. But that's sort of the playstyle that you have been using, isn't it? Where you've been having those 2 units of knights in the middle, kind of holding the center ground and then dancing around the edges, and then the Green Knight comes in wherever he likes.
A different way of playing it, right? It's good fun.
So why skirmishes on the Peasant Bowmen?
I don't know the real reason. I just really like them. Every time I've played with them in skirmish, they've been brilliant. They've been fantastic. I think one big thing about them is you can line them up in such a way that they still have 360 line of sight, and a lot of models can see. So they don't ever have to worry about moving and losing that -1 to hit. So that's really effective. So you don't, like, most of the times they're going to be hitting on 5s. If they're lucky, they're going to be hitting on 4s, and then they can start doing some damage.
I suppose it's -1 to shoot them back as well if they're a skirmisher. It gives them that little bit more defense.
So, and they're only 50 points, and it's like the cheapest 50 points in the list. So,
and they often do a little bit of work for you against weaker
Yeah.
targets. They do often take off. You know, I'm not saying they're going to make 50 points up, but if they help ping up the back rank off something, or something like that.
do a wound to a wild rider when it's out in front, something like that. It's it's just enough, isn't it? It's just enough.
Yeah.
And then, like, they can play the runaway game if they need to as well. If it comes down to the last 50 points, they're able to run behind the dragon.
Yeah, because they got to that 360. Yeah. All right, and then lastly,
the real meat of the army, the Pegasus Knights. This unit is fantastic. I can't believe it. So one thing I really overlooked when I first started taking them was the fact they had skirmish. That 360 line of sight for charging really makes the unit something else.
What's funny about them really is that when you compare them to the Knights of the Realm, like, not only are they a tougher unit, are they also a point stronger? The Pegasus is certainly stronger than a horse.
I'll duplicate unit.
It's got higher initiative.
So it was like weapon skill 4, strength 4, toughness 4, 2 wounds, instead of weapon skill 4, strength 3, toughness 3, 1 wound.
So they're already like the better knight, and then they've got that massive threat bubble where they can just go kind of in any direction. And they don't get led off because they're not impetuous or anything like that. They are just a fantastic unit, and their skirmish, you're right, affords them so many options. They can choose to charge where they want. If they don't want to, they can fly off in any direction they like, and it doesn't matter which way they land because every arc is the front arc. I think they're a fantastic unit, and I think the addition of that paladin with them just makes them even tougher. They just chew through units. They're brilliant.
Yeah, I love putting that paladin on a Royal Pegasus with them every time. It's my favorite little wombo combo. They do, because they've got what's it called now? Devastating charge, is it? The +1 attack on the charge. So the unit does 2 attacks per night with an additional 1 for the first night, and then the paladin does 3 base plus additional D3, like 10, 11 strength 6 attacks coming at you on the charge. Could be devastating. That's before the Pegasus attack.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I think they're brilliant, and I think your use of characters is really good. I really like your list, Tom. I have to say, I think it is, for this points value, it's a really good list. There's so much utility in it, from having a little word in the magic phase and potentially potentially bringing that useful spell, to having the Green Knight appear in the back. So it's just, again, asking questions of your opponent, like, where are the natural terrain features? What am I going to do to avoid the Green Knight? Answer is probably nothing.
Yeah.
And then having that paladin who's really strong, and then your 2 little units of Knights of the Realm who, what they are doing in the army. You're not over expecting from them, but your opponent, I think, is going to worry about them. And then those 2 units of Pegasus Knights come around and mop up. It's just like,
that's been hard learning. That has not to expect anything from the Knights of the Realm. Really cut me deep, because I was like, this unit's going to be the best thing ever. And then every time I've used them, it's just been, wow, they may as well run in with those inflatable pool tubes, just not do a thing. But I love them.
Yeah. So, yeah, do you have anything else to add? Any more expectations for the list, or something you want to share about it?
I think the big thing's going to be the question of what's a natural terrain feature in the tournament. So I'm hoping the TOs thought about that and have a bit of a mission pack or table pack to the side and can include that information, because I don't want to get to and finish deployed and then have that discussion. It just eats up time.
Don't worry, because if there isn't a natural terrain feature on the table and you play me, I'll put one down for you.
Yeah, you always put one down in a really nice place for me.
All right, so shall I go through my list?
Absolutely.
All right, so I have got a Glade Lord on a Forest Dragon as my general. He's got Talisman of Protection, Annoyance of Netlings, and Resplendence of Luminescence. And then I have a level 2 Spellsinger on an Elven Steed with the Ruby Ring of Ruin and Elementalism. For my core, I've got 10 Glade Guard with Arcane Bodkins, 6 Deepwood Scouts with Hagbane Tips, and 5 Glade Riders with True Flight Arrows and Reserve Move. For my special, I've got 5 Sisters of the Thorn with a Handmaiden and a Standard Bearer, and I have 5 Wild Riders with shields and a Standard Bearer with the Banner of the Hunter King. So let's go through it. So first off is a dragon. I mean, it's in there for obvious reasons. It's the big nasty. I'm hoping to go in, do some damage, get the reform, go into something else, deal some damage, get the reform, and just keep rolling up people's armies is basically what I'm going to try and do with it. Now, I know people are going to try and static combat res it. I know there's going to be dragon slaying swords out there. And I know I'm going to be issued challenges to try and slow up how much, make it take a couple turns to get that damage out. But I'm big enough and tough enough and maneuverable enough that hopefully I can pick the fights that I want to go into and start chewing through the opponent's army. So Talisman of Protection is a 5-up ward. Annoyance of Netlings, it's -1 to hit me in a challenge, just in case somebody comes up to me with that Dragon Slaying Sword, something like that. It's a -1 to hit. And then Resplendence of Luminescence it's 10 points and it makes the model's attacks magical. And it's just insurance against the Green Knight, because I'm just worried someone else will do it to me. And there might be something, I might come across that high magic, the sword masters that become ethereal, something like that.
Yeah.
That is always a possibility. But yeah, I felt like Bretonians are high enough up in the meta now that I am actually worried that somebody is going to just do that to me and just hold up that dragon or game otherwise. So I've put 10 points on for that, and I was pleased to see really that it's not just my own paranoia, because looking through at other lists at other events, I have seen on Best Coast pairings, I have seen that people are doing that as well. So.
Taking the cheapest magical item on a hero just to get magical attacks. Yeah.
Well, it makes the dragon's attacks magical, so that's a pretty good magic item as far as I'm concerned.
That's what killed the Green Knight in our game.
Yeah. And then he just came back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the dragon is self-explanatory. One of the things I will say about the dragon is that some games he doesn't always win all of his points back, because you'll go into something, they'll issue a challenge, then it takes a further round of combat, then he spins, then he goes into something else. Sometimes it can take a little while, especially if you're playing against someone like Tom, who's very good at his movement. They can kind of get out of the way. So I'm hoping to play against some people who are a bit more static with the dragon.
Yeah, I think he might have a field day against some orcs and goblins.
Yeah, hopefully. Okay, so next is the Spellsinger level 2 on an Elven Steed. So the reason why she's on an Elven Steed is that she can ride around with the Sisters of the Thorn, just very highly maneuverable. Can get where she needs to get in terms of dispelling and things like that. But mainly, I want to be trying to dance around outside of the spell range of the enemy and throwing magic missiles in. So the way the Sisters of the Thorn work is that they can choose one spell either from battle magic or elementalism and cast it as a bound spell level 2, and that is selected at the same time as you select your spells for your wizard. So the wizard's got elementalism, and I'm going to roll up on that, and hopefully the wizard is going to get Plague of Rust, which is -2 to your opponent's armor save, and then go into the Ruby Ring of Ruin afterwards. And then the Sisters will choose Fireball. If the wizard doesn't roll Plague of Rust, the Sisters can choose it. So I'll always get it, but the plan is to dance around the outside, Plague of Rust something which is a 21-inch range, and then Fireball something which is a 24-inch range twice.
Disgusting. You've done that to me, and it's not fun.
Because you're looking at then 4d6 strength 4 hits. Obviously, magic missile is much more potent in this edition because you have to roll to hit. 4d6 strength 4 hits AP2 really does take it out of you. Yeah. And then I've got another spell there available to me or another 2 available from Elementalism. We'll just see what they are. But I really like Elementalism. There's some good spells in there, I think. I guess the other thing that I would look at doing is choosing to take Tree Singing. Because it creates a wood, and it can create a 5-inch template wood, which is really good for blocking line of sight. So, I've got multiple small maneuverable units. I don't want to get pinned down. I want to get in the way of the opponent. I want to annoy them. I want to limit their options. So, if I can put a template down in front of them that is a wood, that is not only dangerous terrain, completely blocks their line of sight, then it reduces their options for charging me. So that's probably the other spell that I would hope to get. Obviously, they're only a level 2, so I do have to be a little bit wary of being dispelled, but that's where I think the range of the spells and the maneuverability hopefully will come into play, where I'm casting outside of their range. And that's my heroes.
God. You use those wizards really well. I just want to say, in our practice games, those wizards have been an absolute nightmare to deal with, and they're always really good.
Thank you. It's because they're fast cavalry, so they get that reform and stuff like that. And then the Spellsinger on their own can be skirmish next to them, and it's just,
It's why I've had to include the magic in my list. It's because they're so good.
So core, you have to take Glade Guard. So I've got Glade Guard. I was going to take 2 units of 5 and play into that MSU and not give points away to my opponent. You know, if they catch me, 5 is 65 points, and I don't care. But for reasons that we will come to later on, I want to have a low drop army. So I've put them together as 1 unit of 10, which is against what I would normally do. 130 points is more than I would normally like to give away, which I know is not a lot of points, but that's normally my play style. They've got arcane bodkins because I'm not expecting them to move. So I think they will hit on 4s or 3s. And because there are those higher armor save units in the game, if I get Plague of Rust on them, for example, your knights or your Pegasus Knights, I know I'm going to be wounding them on 5s. But if they've got Plague of Rust on them and then I shoot into them, they won't have an armor save. And that's what I'm trying to do with that unit, is to make it that threat that if there is something, you know, your Black Orcs that we talked about, you know, your full plate and shield, I could Plague of Rust and shoot those arrows. They then become that much more effective. So I know the army seems to be built around 1 spell and a dragon at the moment, but that's kind of what I'm going for. Then the Deepwood Scouts, 6 of them. If I had the points, I'd love to try and squeeze a champion into there, so I can issue a challenge if a big monster like a dragon attacks me. Because then, even if the champion dies, I'm still unit strength 5, so I'm not outnumbered, and then I won't flee. So that's a consideration, but I just don't have the points at the moment.
I was going to come at you with a different place to put a champion, and that would have been the Wild Riders. Because then, if you can charge that unit and the dragon into the same unit, you can just go, right, I'll accept the challenge with my Wild Rider hero, and my dragon's going to be you.
Yeah, the converse to that is I've seen Wild Riders go into a monster and the monster issued the challenge, and then none of the Wild Riders can attack except for the champion.
Yeah.
So that's why I haven't done it. But yeah, so the scouts, they're just to get in the way, really, slow people up. They've got fire and flee, and they also are evasive. So the plan is, and this is completely stolen from David War from the Dwellers Below, because he is a master at the game and finding little things. So the army is very susceptible to shooting and magic missiles. So if you put the Deepwood Scouts at the edge of a forest and then they get targeted by a shooting attack, they can fall back in good order out the other side of the forest, and then they can't be targeted for that shooting attack. So little things like that, staying out the way, harassing, annoying, you know, that kind of thing is what they're there for. And hopefully, you know, with their poison attacks, ping off a couple of wounds. Glade Riders, they've been so-so for me, but I like them because they have taken off war machines for me in the past, and I've been playing at the local games club. They've been, you know, they are fast. They do get there. They don't do a lot because they're 1 attack each, strength 4. You know, but I said they are effective against war machines. They do ask questions of your opponent. They can get round the back. And I think for 100 points, they're pretty good. They've got true flight arrows and reserve move. The reason for that is because they don't have move and fire, or move and shoot. So they suffer the -1, but with true flight they won't. So they can move, then shoot, and then they can move again. So they can still get the benefits of having marched, but still shoot. But just true flight arrows there, so no, nothing too nasty. They're just normal bows, but they don't suffer the -1. They probably would. I probably would have put Hagbane tips on them, but they're an additional point each per model, and I don't have the points. Sisters of the Thorn, we've already spoken about what I want to do with them. I think they're a really good unit. I think they've got a 4-up board save. They've got poisoned attacks, and the poison attacks is on the steeds as well. And they've got these javelins they can throw. You know, if they get charged, they're pretty robust because you're not going to deal that much damage to them. They can have a say with their poison, and they've got a standard there. But hopefully they'll never get into combat. They'll just be fireballing stuff away. But yeah, I think they're a great unit. For 134 points, it's probably one of the best 134 points you could spend in a Wood Elf army. You know, I'm even to the point where I was looking at taking 2 units of them.
Yeah, I rate them a lot. Really rate that unit.
And the last unit And this is the big question mark on the army list, is the Wild Riders with the Banner of the Hunter King. So the idea here is the Banner of the Hunter King gives you reserve move. So in scenarios now, 24 is the most you'll be away, but you can deploy like 18 inches apart and things like that. And then with reserve move, now they're 9 inches away. So if I get the first turn, they're pretty much able to charge whatever they like. So that's why, for example, I dropped the Glade Guard from 2 units to 1 to try and get that +1 to win the first turn. And then I can get that charge. When they get the charge, it doesn't really matter what they charge. They're absolutely devastating. They are, on the charge, they are strength 5, AP 2, each with 3 attacks. And then the steeds attack. They chew through everything. You know, they'll see off a small lance, won't they? Like we've play tested that
Easily.
enough. That they will, even with the 3-up armor save and all this kind of stuff, they'll just chew through that. So they're really scary. They ask questions of the opponent. They're a turn 1 kind of in your face. I've broken that unit and now I've overran them, or I've turned. You know, it's like, okay, you know, I think it will make the opponent think, you know, blimey, what am I going to do next? I was thinking I would put them, if I could, opposite an enemy unit of cavalry if they have any, and then that way, if I don't get the first turn, I can still countercharge. And I've got Elven initiative, so I would still expect to attack first if I got charged, and I countercharged. The big worry really is that I'm paying 172 points for this unit for something that I may not get the first turn. I may not get the best matchup. Someone might out deploy me and not give me a lot of options. And then if I don't get the first turn, rather than saying, oh, they're going to charge me, but I'll countercharge, they might just fireball me. And I've got a 5-up save and a 6-up ward, and I'm toughness 3, and they'll just be gone. Because there's only 5 wounds there. It's not a lot to have to cause. So for me, they're probably the weakest part of the army. But they could also be the strongest part.
Yeah. You don't have to Vanguard, though, do you?
No.
So you could deploy them last and just be like, right, have I been out deployed? Yes. Okay, I'm going to stick them in reserve and bring them in when I need them. And do the old 8th edition Wood Elf mop-up trick with them.
Yeah, so I could put them behind the forest that I get.
Yeah.
And then they don't have line of sight to draw to anything. The opponent won't be able to draw a line of sight to them, so they don't have to worry about their frenzy going off. And then I can play the game as my opponent moves forward towards me. I can then bring them out into the forest to begin to see things, which is an option. But I do like the idea of, and this is a problem I've been having this edition, is I just like the idea of charging off. And Wood Elves don't really do that, but I do like that.
I think the idea of it. Against someone who's less tempered, they will see red. And you'll start to get the old Wood Elf, right? I need to turn everything around to face this one unit. And then you'll start playing Chase the Ghost with Wild Riders, whilst the rest of the dragon and the dragons start chewing through stuff. So I think you're just going to have to make the call right near the end of deployment as to what the plan is for them.
Yeah, it depends on the experience of my opponent, doesn't it? Really, I think, like you said, you know, they are that unit that can cause someone to panic or to lose their concentration on how the game is actually going, because they think, oh, like, what am I going to do because I'm about to get charged by this unit of Wild Riders.
Yeah.
A bit kind of like what I was thinking, like with the Green Knight, and now I've kind of come to terms with him. He's gonna do his thing, and I've got to try and play the game as best as I can around him. They're kind of a bit like that. But I don't know if another unit, Sisters of the Thorn, would be a better option, because they're more survivable, not going to give their points away, going to cast Fireball, and they're probably, in the long game, they're probably better, but it doesn't give me... But then the army, I would say the army doesn't have as much punch, but it does include a dragon. Yeah,
it does. And it just includes a different kind of punch, especially if you're able to get the Plague of Rust off. If you Plague of Rust a unit and then multi-Fireball it, then you're laughing all the way to the bank. But is it as fun?
That's true.
It's fun. They're going to come against someone, and it's their first tournament, and you're going to send those Wild Riders off into the sunset, and they're going to take off their nice new painted old world toys.
Don't
And
say
they're going to
that,
see
because
red.
that's not what is, hopefully, we will. That's why, across the tournament you find your level, don't you? And you end up playing on the table with people who are similar. So hopefully, and it is a competitive setting, so people are turning up with the expectation that they're going to play against something else competitive. So I don't, that's not what we want.
But then that could be a little less frustrating than playing against the Wood Elf list that runs away, because that isn't ever fun.
Yeah, not everything in this list runs away. The Sisters run away, the Deepwood Scouts run away,
the Glade Riders run away, the Dragon runs away to you.
Right, runs all the way to you. But it's not a full avoidance list, and there's quite a bit of me that is like, there's just like a little voice, just damn, just go for the avoidance. Get rid of the Wild Riders.
Go back to playing 40k.
Put in some more Deepwood Scouts and some Sisters of the Thorn. Just do it. Like that voice is quite strong. But that's the list that I've got so far. It may change. I don't know. It would involve painting up another unit Sisters of the Thorn for one thing. So we will see. But those are our lists.
I really like your Wood Elf list. I played against it enough, and that unit of Wild Riders I think is devastating. It'd be a shame to lose it.
It's good against you because you always prey, so you give me the first turn, so I get that charge. So you've seen it at its full potential, but I suppose it's not always going to do that. But let us know in the comments what you think of the lists. They're in a place where I'm fairly happy with mine. I really like Tom's list. There's not anything really I would change in Tom's. Mine, I've got that Wild Rider dilemma. Do I want to go for avoidance or not? But let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know if you've been playing games at this similar points level, and what you think. And then we will be back after the event to let you know how it has gone. I'd say what will happen is I'll end up playing Tom in the first round. That's what will end up happening. After all this, we've been playing each other for so long, it'd be nice to, no offense, but it'd be nice. I think we both said, haven't we? It'd be nice to play some different people. So we'll let you know how we perform. It's a 16 player tournament, so lots of opportunities to see different armies and things like that. So
how many games is it in the day?
It's 3.
It's 3 games. Oh, it'd be nice chill there. Real chill pace.
Yeah, because I don't think it'll take that long to play through these because of the smaller points limit. A big game is an hour and a half, couple hours, definitely a couple hours, I would say. But these games are smaller, so it'll be nice.
Oh, lovely.
All right, well, we will see you after. Take care, everyone.